Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of Channel Your Light, Own Your Intuitive. I have for you now the original message that I was intended to sharing it with Serapis Bay, actually, who is really at the forefront of structure and building and really rooting and grounding and keeping real in terms of understanding the contexts of the intuitive realms. So I want to talk about channeling. The reason I want to talk about channeling is so that you have a deeper understanding of the actual purpose of why I have all of these gods, goddesses, deities, different masters showing up and sharing information. So sometimes when I channel, it can appear to be a little bit chaotic or really involved, like it's really embodied. I know when another energy is coming in, but when I'm deeply in the flow, it's mind, body, and spirit. I'm in the moment with those channels, and the information that comes through isn't necessarily my own thought forms or beliefs or things like that. It's because I am divining them. Now, the reason why this is important for you to understand, because sometimes people are like, she's channeling this, she's channeling that, and all these different things. This is something I've had to acclimate to, being able to attune to different frequencies and different energies that embody or encompass different cultures, beliefs, and understandings, particularly because they're not necessarily mine. So here's the key, my friends. You'll notice that when a channel comes through, there will be information that you attune to. And sometimes you'll be like, that's not really for me. And that's okay. The whole purpose of channeling all of these different entities and beings of light and masters is that they actually represent different archetypes. So if you think about it, for example, the Ocean one, there's an undercurrent of emotion that is clearly in these channels. Some people have a view or a perspective or a limitation that if you are truly channeling a frequency, then you do not have an emotional context. It's just very, I don't want to say monotone because it's not necessarily monotone, but it doesn't have the inflections of emotional aspects, coloring it or peppering it. However, I do not believe that to be true based on my own experience and seeing the results of the information that's channeled through. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. On this earth plane, there is duality. There is joy and there is sorrow. There is a low frequency and there is high frequency. Gods, goddesses, deities, masters, all these different entities and energies are showing up to help us, and they each represent a different archetype. So for example, the Ocean channel, the last one from the goddess Ocean, which I had to look up because I just get the information that this is the entity, this is the master that wishes to speak with you, or the goddess or goddess to share a message for someone on the channel. I'm channeling light. Light illuminates the dark. There are peppered emotions in some of these. The reason why is Ava is a heart healer. We are here on the human 3D experience, and most of us have experienced deep heart wounds. We have been hurt by our experiences or circumstances because we're here to heal those things. It makes absolute sense to me that a goddess Ocean, when somebody needs a message and that is the person that they turn to, or that deity or that understanding, to hear that the divine knows what's happening. Everything is seen, the light and the dark, all of it, every thought, every nuance, every time that something happens, even when no physical person saw it, the divine saw it. Sometimes we need to know that. We need to know we are held. We need to know things are balancing. We need to know there's divine order. Serapis Bay says, in order to create structures in our lives, we must have removed the things or the barriers that create a block to the structure. And blocks to the heart creates a block to the structure. These gods, goddesses, deities, all of these things, they all represent archetypes. So whether you've experienced betrayal, maybe like Lakshmi, I keep coming back to Lakshmi, perhaps that's good because today's actually the Lionsgate portal when I'm recording this. So I'm being told that Lakshmi shows up for those who are experiencing lack and limitation and struggling to manifest into the frequency that they need to. That's why she showed up. She showed up to tell you to embody it. There was deep emotion with it. Spirit speaks the language of the heart, and each and every one of you have emotions. Our emotions can be a barometer, just like our body is a barometer, just like our thought forms can take us down this path or down that path, depending on the thought form. The idea of gods and goddesses, all these beings and entities that I have channeled, and I want to tell you, I am deeply humbled by the fact that all of these masters and teachers show up to speak energy through me. I'm deeply humbled. And oftentimes I'm in awe. It is an incredible experience, but it is a lot of energy to continually have to acclimate to. Until you understand the underlying current and thread, you will notice that each of the deities, gods, and goddesses address a different thing, whether it's abundance, whether it's love, whether it's justice, whether it's walking between worlds, whether it is the cosmic intelligence bringing through different aspected forms. This is about unity. These are archetypes to help us move forward, to move up the ascension process, to not get caught on the low dense frequencies, to continually move forward, stepping up the steps, getting the information that we need. This is very important, Serapis Bey says, because think of the pyramids. He's talking about the pyramids. Those are like steps. It's all a pyramid's like the Holy Trinity when you look at it face value, but when you look at it from above, it's the transcendence. It's four corners. And the fifth point in the middle is your I am presence. You could look at this from many different aspects, many different analogies. We talk about the pillars, the 5 pillars of light. The 5th pillar is the I am pillar. What's required before that? The experience, the expression, the integration, and the transcendence erects a portion of your 5th I am pillar, or all of you, depending on who you are and how you do that and how you attune to that. But these are important. You'll notice the pyramid is going up. It's an incline, or if you're coming from here, it's a descent, an ascent and a descent. We are doing both, an ascent and a descent, both in our spiritual chakra energy centers, our divine connections, and in our physical avatar, our physical energy centers that root us onto the earth plane through our experiences and what happens here. So when we're channeling different gods, goddesses, deities, oftentimes I'm trying to think about how many different people I've channeled through and friends. When I said I was going to be channeling, ascended masters and all these things, I did not expect to wake up every morning and say, oh, I have a new person here to talk to you. Demeter is next PS. And the next day it's going to be this. I just didn't expect that. But I'm willing to do that because I recognize there is profound information that can be delivered with divine timing for the people who are viewing this channel when they need it. Sometimes it's a god or a goddess or a deity that you already follow or feel deeply connected to. Sometimes that's why they show up to say, hey, I know you're going to watch this channel in this video. I know you're deeply connected. I know you needed some kind of validation in the external form. So I'm going to show up for Erin here because she decided she was a channel, and we're going to move that information through for you. The divine is here to help us move forwards, whether that's simple teachings, whether it's messages of light and love, whether it's very direct messages, letting people know that the divine has them, so be it. On this journey, we often find that we attune or we like people because they understand us, or we have the same thought process, or we believe the same things. And really what that is it's just validating our own thing. That's why we like them, because it's validating our own experiences. And sometimes when somebody expresses something that isn't in alignment with us, perhaps we pull back from it. I like to view it from all perspectives, because there's always a different perspective. There's always a different facet to view it from. And the more facets and dimensions that we are able to perceive it from, because multi-dimensional means multi-perceptional. You have the ability to view from multiple dimensions, facets, perspectives, and concepts or ideations. When we're moving through dimensions and we're accessing up to the 12th dimension, you get a full scope with a round house of what's going on, why it's going on, that person's view, the whole interconnection. It allows you to see the micro and the macro evolving as one. So when we talk about these things, if there is a specific deity, god or goddess who's come through where you're like, I really resonated with that, that's the archetype that you needed, because that's what you're working on. And we all have different lessons and we're all working on different things. But at some point, we're all going to work at the same things. Go back to the 12 houses, says Ava. She says, even though you may be a Sagittarius sun and an Aries moon and a this or that, or whatever astrological house you are and whatever's in your chart, she says, you have all 12 houses in your chart somewhere. You have a placement somewhere in your chart of all of these houses. You're not just one thing. You're not just one way of being. You're not just one view or one perspective. You're actually multi-dimensional, multi-perspectives. So in addition, this Lionsgate portal energy, the portal aspect of it, what's happening is the gate is opening to the higher dimensional aspects to be viewed and understood and perceived. These are higher frequencies because they require a higher level of consciousness and awareness in order to perceive in that multitude of ways. For example, if I'm really in low, dark, dense, negative energy, and all I can see is that I'm a victim, it's because there's archetypes that haven't been addressed yet or expressed yet or come into, and you are unable to see from a higher dimensional perception, aspect, or frequency. You cannot observe because you're in it. It's a lower, dense vibrational frequency. This is a third dimensional earth plane. We have the first dimension and the second dimension, which we are reconciling, and the third dimension, creating the holy trinity of the self, clearing out the house of self and coming back into our I am presence, our Christ consciousness, our self-perception and awareness, whatever you wish to label that is. It's coming home to you, to the divinity in you, no matter what your faith is, no matter what your belief is, and no matter what your culture is. It's coming back to the unity, the wholeness of you. It's learning those karmic lessons through our experiences with other people that allow us to come back into that wholer piece of who we are. Now, I say that because some of you I'm seeing are just on the cusp. It's like I'm being shown, it's like the gate is there and the door is there and it's open an inch, but there's like some kind of a block where you're not stepping forwards. And I say block lightly because I don't mean it's a block, it's a hesitation, it's a thought form that is not in coherence with the moving forwards. It's something that needs to be addressed. It's something that needs to be identified or perceived. This Lionsgate portal allows you to directly connect with all of the higher dimensional aspects and frequencies, to see with fresh eyes, to see with fresh eyes, so that you can do more, be more, become more. That doesn't mean you're less than right now. It means you just get to expand into even more wonderful things. It doesn't mean you're less than. When we say be more, expand, and do these things, it doesn't mean you're less than. It means you are unfolding. It means there's more treasure to see. It means there's more underneath the surface. If we look at the ocean and we just play at the top, I am her surface, barely even scratched. As a human being on the earth plane, we have barely even scratched the capabilities of our minds, of our bodies, of our innate divine power. And we have at one point been evolved and done that. But again, this is not our first awakening for a multitude of reasons. But this is what we're coming back into. We've barely even scratched the surface. Know that you are whole in this moment right now, and know that you are also unfolding. All of the gods, goddesses, and deities that channel, that come to me to share a message with you, which is wild when I think about that, is innately interconnected. This is by divine design, that all things are interconnected in all ways, shapes, and forms. All of these deities work under the one infinite creator because we have all of these different archetypes within our experience. They are simply addressing, representing, calling forth, or sharing knowledge associated with that specific archetype or experience. Yes, there will be emotion in some of them. It is inevitable. It is inevitable because all of you are emotional beings. You are emotive. They are part of your makeup that allows you to move through the karmic wheel to learn the lessons. For example, if I am not an emotive being, how would I ever experience deep, profound, unconditional love? That is an emotion. It is a state of being that encompasses an emotion. It is a thought form that is intrinsically connected to the actual state of being. It is a physical aspected form. You are that. I am that. We are all that. All sentient beings are that. So when I talk about channeling, some of you are probably wondering, I wonder who she's going to channel next. Hands up to that, friends, because sometimes I wonder that too. It's kind of funny, but it's wild and it's amazing and it's exciting. And it can seem a little inconsistent or chaotic, I guess you could say. And I say that from the perspective of understanding that some people like consistency, consistent, soft voice, consistent, soft delivery. Some people like consistent, straight on the arrow. Everybody's different. When we're channeling all of these gods, goddesses, deities, and I'm bringing forth this information, it's always going to be divinely timed based on the undercurrent of emotional aspecting in the collective consciousness, more particularly to the viewers who are subscribed to this channel. It's an energy exchange. When you say, hey, I'm going to subscribe to Erin's channel, well, somebody's going to show up to deliver a message for you. That's kind of what it feels like. And there are many times, my friends, where I have to look up the things that I am channeling because these are not something that I attune to or have looked up or listened to or even that I know anything about. That's what makes it wild and amazing and so divine and so interconnected. The divine gives you what you need when you're willing to ask for it. It's an energetic exchange. For example, you are spirit. Entities, gods, and goddesses are spirit. Our loved ones passed on are spirit. I'm spirit embodied. So are you. Our loved ones who have crossed over and transitioned, they're spirit disembodied. We are infinite and unending. There is no such thing as death, and yet every moment that has just passed is a small death. It's the dichotomy of it, right? If every breath I take and exhale is a small death, how can leaving the body be a small death? I leave my body all the time. I come back to it all the time. That does not mean I have gone anywhere. We are infinite, eternal, part of the one infinite creator. Consciousness does not die. It's like energy. Energy cannot die. It simply transforms. We are simply transforming. So when we're talking about channeling, the idea that you're only a medium and you can channel spirit disembodied neglects the fact that we are spirit too, and we are embodied. And what you need and you ask for is heard through the divine, is felt. I feel it sometimes. I feel what you ask for. I hear sometimes what people say in terms of what they're looking for. But 9 times out of 10, I get somebody like Oshun showing up for me in the morning saying, hey, somebody needs to know this, or this message needs to be delivered. And sometimes I don't know who that message is for. But I do trust the divine is showing up for a reason. It is pouring through me as a channel for a reason, for somebody else to help them on their journey, a connection, an interconnection. We are all in this together. When I say we're all in this together, I literally see it, feel it, and know it as spirit embodied, me and you, spirit disembodied, our loved ones passed on through consciousness, the masters, the gods, the goddess, the deities, the one infinite creator. We're all connected. I don't care how different you are from me. It's one massive interconnection. And it's amazing. And it's a little bit quirky. It's a little bit weird. And it's awe and it's inspiring. And sometimes it can create resistance too, right? Because it's so enormous. But the purpose of channeling all of these different guides, and being told goddesses, gods, deities, all of these different things under the cosmic intelligence is what I am hearing. All of these different aspects are archetypes of experiences that we have on this journey. And the purpose of channeling the information is to literally help people move forwards, see things from a different paradigm, and understand that the divine has got you. If you think about it, we're on the earth plane. This is a ton of duality. This is such dualistic natures here, the laws of polarity. It's really crazy when you think about the black and the white, the exact opposites that shape and mold everything around us. When we think about it like this, to reconcile those things can be difficult, especially when you're constantly faced with all these dualities and polarities all the time. being able to tap in and channel into that divine guidance helps us to anchor. It helps us to ground. It helps us to settle in. It helps us to glean the lesson, glean the diamond, see from another perspective so that it no longer weighs us down, is what I'm hearing. It no longer taints our perspective. It no longer is a barrier, but ultimately becomes the door that opens. What else do we want to say about the Serapis Bay, and why is this tied to the pyramids? And why is this tied to the pillars, the pyramids, the pillars of light, the dimensions we've talked about. We've talked about channeling guides, masters. We talked about channeling gods, goddesses, and deities. We've talked about spirit embodied and disembodied. What else have we talked about here, friends? I feel like what haven't we talked about? This is the great awakening after all. And the very idea or the limitation that you can only do one thing or have one perspective or that it's only one way just isn't going to fit anymore. It really isn't. We are expanding into more than, because we are already more than what we think we are. So much more. On this earth plane, it can be grueling. It can have a lot of struggle. There's a lot of confusion on this earth plane for a lot of different reasons. And a lot of them are man-made, and some of them are intentional, and some of them are unintentional. There's just so much. But if you always come back to these divine connections, these understandings, and opening up your divine connection and being willing to assess a different archetype when it shows up, because these are the underlying undercurrents of the current energy in the collective consciousness on the earth plane. Is it everybody's energy? No, it's the undercurrent, because we're in the great awakening. It is what is being churned up in the waters from the sturgeon moon. And internally for each of us, it's different. On our mini community, maybe it's different. And on the grand stage, on the macro, it's different too, but they're all interconnected. So I hope that you have enjoyed all of these different channels that have been coming through from all the different masters. And I heard this morning, I actually tried to record this earlier, but my sounds on my microphone kept going in and out. So I'm re-recording this right now. But I want to say this morning, I did hear very, very clearly that this would only just be the beginning of what comes through in the channels in terms of who is showing up to channel and why, because there's always a deeper purpose to the messages. It's never just about divine order and divine justice. Are asking me to talk about this right now. That is a big thread and theme on the earth plane, because there has been so much duality and because there's been such imbalances. So yes, there has been a lot of gods, goddesses, deities, archetypes, things like that, that have shown up that are about divine order and justice. And really, at the end of the day, on the bigger scale of things, when we realize the divine is going to make things right or help us to balance things, we then take the initiative and action to rebalance it in ourselves. We take the initiative and action to have divine order within ourselves. Serapis Bay says the last part of this is very important. When we are faced with chaos, we are called to create order from it. We say chaos is the divine reordering. He says, I wish for many of you to take the game piece and put it into your hands. I want you to view the chaos, see what it is showing you, and create order from the chaos. This is very important, because when there is chaos, it is the exact opposite of order. If chaos exists, that means something needs to be realigned, whether it's setting boundaries, whether it is realigning your finances, whether it is removing relationships or dynamics or people who consistently cross your boundaries or are not in alignment with divine order in your own energy. So we often look as divine order, but really it's within us. If there is chaos here, you have to be able to discern, is it mine or is it somebody else's? Can I walk away from that because it has nothing to do with me? Or do I need to create order right here because that's creating chaos? So create order from any chaos that you're experiencing at this time. That is predominantly why there's so many justice warriors I'm hearing coming out, justice archetypes. A lot of things that have been hidden are coming out into plain sight. What was done in the dark is being illuminated. So that which is hidden is now going to be seen. This can create chaos, but what's the purpose of it? We have chaos so that we can sit down, focus, and create order from it. That's the gift. That's the opportunity. That is the reason why so many of these gods and goddesses show up with different things. Go back to Lakshmi, says Serapis Bey. My dear Lakshmi, a Hindu deity goddess, she shows up in terms of people who are struggling with abundance, finances, feeling wealthy in energy, wealthy in love, wealthy in spirit. When we are struggling with that, Lakshmi shows up. That's why. And each of us are perhaps struggling with different things. Some of us are just here having a joyride. I'm hearing, come on, join the joyride. Join the joyride. So I feel like telling you, and now I'm hearing, I said, hello, you fool. I love you. Come on, join the joyride. Join the joyride of the divine, the joyride of spirit. You can't get on the track of joy if you are continually stuffing down, turning your face away, or ignoring the fact that you do experience sorrow or any of those other energies. Who sang that song? That's an old song. Let's say it's Roxette's Joyride. Very interesting. So Lakshmi comes to reinstill that abundance, that joy, that ease and flow, the attitude of gratitude, perhaps, all of those beautiful, beautiful things. This is very important because on this earth plane, we are all ascending. Ascension requires us to move into those frequencies. In order to move to those frequencies, we have to have clearly identified the other ones that were taking up space in our subtle energy bodies, our thoughts, our minds, our perceptions, our bodies, and our emotions. All of the different deities, goddesses, and gods that we're channeling through, I'm hearing, are specifically directed to addressing all of those different types of archetypes. Most people end up dealing with all of those archetypes at some point or another, whether it's observing it or experiencing it. If you feel chaos, use it to create order. Create order from the chaos. That's Serapis Bey's message. Do, 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 do. Anyways, friends, thank you so much for joining me here on this channel. I have been loving all the different information that comes through, all the different entities of higher frequencies, masters, teachers, and all of those different things that come through. I feel like Serapis Bey is going to be spending some time with us, allowing us to really get into that structured viewpoint, settling into reality. Again, those of you who wish you could go home or don't understand why the earth plane is the way it is, you're being asked to take your home and anchor it here. Ascension is a descension process. We think we are ascending into higher dimensions, but what's happening is we are descending, and our fifth dimensional spirit is becoming embodied, anchored, and rooted, making home here on the earth plane for the great awakening, moving everyone to fifth dimensional consciousness. Ava says, you can look at it like this. Oh, I feel like this is a long channel. It's okay. Ava says, look at it. Don't worry about that. She says, look at it like this. We think here's a third dimension here, and here's the fifth dimension. And we look at it as higher because the number is higher and it feels like it's bigger and it's better and it's all these wonderful higher frequencies. She says, what if I told you ascension is taking the fifth dimension into taking over the third dimension right here on the earth plane? That's what we're doing. It's like dropping drops of Jupiter in her hair. It's like dropping that fifth dimensional higher self into the physical body. You are the home. You are the divine incarnate. Your home is not separate from you. You are the home. This is your house of self. So let's bring that home down here, right here, instead of constantly wanting to go back, or I want to go home. I don't want to be on the earth plane. Bring your home here. We're here to anchor in a new reality, and a reality that is more aligned with a higher dimensional frequency and a greater consciousness, rather than this low, dense, dark war, light versus dark, all this stuff down here. That's the duality we're reconciling, friends. And why are we reconciling it? Why is that chaos there? So that we can create order, open and awaken to the higher dimensions and embody them, anchoring them on the earth plane, becoming the fifth dimensional consciousness. Some of you are already doing this. Some of you are in and out, I'm hearing. Some of you are just awakening to this. It doesn't matter where you are on the journey. We're all doing this, and we're technically all doing it together, even if it doesn't look like it. Anyways, friends, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to Ava and Serapis Bay. And I'm wishing you much love, light, peace, healing, transcendence, fire, abundance, creation, all of those beautiful, beautiful things. And of course, if you wish to get an intuitive guidance reading or mediumship reading, perhaps you feel like you need a good spiritual cleanse and you want to do a quantum spiritual clearing, you can find the link to book both of those things in the video description box below. And until next time, friends, I'm sending you much love.